Hello, crafty friends. My name is Jessica, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I have a card for you where we're going to be doing a lot of die cutting and a lot of blending, a little bit of a fall card with a touch of spring. So, I'm not ready to let go of that spring, summer blue sky, but I thought we would bring in a little bit of fall die cuts with these beautiful sunflower dies. So we're going to go ahead and get started by laying down ink. These are Simon Says Stamp Positively Saturated inks. They are the only inks that I have besides my Distress Oxide and my Distress inks. They are my absolute favorite inks to play with. They are so fun. I have a whole color blend series listed. I'll make sure that I link it up above where I look at all of the inks. Do come in trios, and I went and I explored every single trio and combined colors and just had a lot of fun. So we're just going to get started here by laying down Zest. I went ahead and laid Zest down on all of the die cuts, not particularly even. I wanted a little lighter of a tip, so I tried to avoid putting a lot of ink down in the beginning and then went ahead and added the honey to create some dimension and just focused that on the bottom of the petals. Now, we don't have to be concerned about the inside of the sunflowers because we're going to go ahead and use the browns here on the additional die cut. I love these dies and how they're separated because it just allows to be really sloppy. I hate to say that, but just to put your ink down on the separate die cuts is really, really nice because you don't have to worry about being pristine or careful. Now, I am using a Stampin' Stencil mat here, and that second time when I used the inserts or the centers for the sunflowers, they weren't sticking, and it's because I didn't give my mat time to dry in between cleaning. I do use Squeaky Clean to clean this. It is a Brutus Monroe product, and this is also a Brutus Monroe product co-branded with Simon Says Stamp. And I use the Squeaky Clean. There is a matte cleaner. I use the stamp cleaner. I don't use the matte cleaner particularly, only because I ran out and I had Squeaky Clean in my closet. So I am using that on it and I don't notice a difference between the two. I do also use microfiber cloths to clean this and baby wipes. I did not have any baby wipes handy, but the one thing I will say about these black microfiber cloths from Simon Says Stamp is I would recommend washing them before putting them right into your craft room. I did not wash them, and as you can see, I did receive a little bit of black fuzzies on my Stamp and Stick mat. I haven't noticed them up until this day where it is leaving not a lot, just a little bit of black fuzz. So I would recommend you washing them before bringing them into play. So now we're just using artichoke and kale, or we passed it, but this is one of my favorite color combos for leaves. And a tip for the Stamp and Stick mat, this one, while it looks very used, is still very sticky. And the best way to get them off is to go ahead and roll that mat. It's really resilient, but it'll help pop those die cuts up, especially the ones that are thin and delicate like these stems are. Now that we have our ink blending done, I'm just going to go ahead and lay the sunflowers out how I would like them to be in the final card. And then I'm going to use a pencil and create a little bit of a border so that I can use this as a gauge when I'm laying down the background stamping. It's a little hard to see here in the light since I do have a pretty bright ring light above the surface, but I can see it and I'm just wanting to create just some guidelines. So we're going to go in with this Just Breathe stamp set. It's like a paint swatch. And I'm doing the first initial little stamping as a stamp off. So I didn't want them to be the full color. So I'm stamping off using that second stamping and creating a lighter layer before I go ahead and use the ink at its full potential. I'm not being careful about lining up. I really want this to be more organic and whimsical. So I'm making sure that I'm flipping my stamp from right to left so that I create different edgings. And then I'm going to kind of also go in, straight and then a little bit more of an angle and back and forth. So now we're going and using the full ink and just really creating a fun little layered background. Now, I am going to be covering up most of this, but I did just want a little bit of that blue color. This is the spring slash summer coming into the fall florals, having that bright seafoam blue to indicate the sky and hold on to the blue skies. I live in Michigan. It is gray skies typically once winter hits and late fall, and we don't see the sun until at least March, probably even April. It's a big joke here, but it's true. My vitamin D deficiency is always kicking in the winter, so I always have to supplement for that. So the more blue skies we can have, the better. So now I'm just going to go in and erase those pencil marks that I made. You could hardly see them, especially here with the lighting, but I could see them. I knew that they were there, so I went ahead and removed them. And now we're gonna go ahead and fiddle and put the card together. I really love this stem die. This is from a totally different die set called Sunrise Stem, and it's just perfect with these sunflowers. The sunflowers do not come with greenery, and so you have to combine two dies if you want them to have stems. And I highly recommend this Sunrise Stem set. It is almost perfect for what actual sunflower stems look like. So now I'm just using a little bit of tape runner to create a temporary adhesion so that I can place these florals with their stems and kind of get a feeling of how I want the cards to be. I had originally made it so that that big flower, the darker section was at the top, and I really wanted it at the bottom to create the fact that the sun is higher than these florals and we're getting that bottom shadow. And so I had to do a little bit of surgery and then go ahead and replace everything so that it looked appropriate. And I wanted to be sure that the little flowers all match. So when you're doing something like this where you've created a shadow, you just have to be mindful of that when you're putting your card together. Would it matter that they were maybe not all at the bottom? No, but I know I'm one of those people that knows that they should be because that's my light source. And so it would bother me if I didn't, but I don't know that a lot of people would notice that. So don't worry about it. Card making is fluid and it's supposed to be fun. Handmade doesn't mean perfection. It means that you love somebody enough to make them a little creation. So I don't like to get too bent out of shape if I mess up, but when I can avoid it before things are all adhered, I try to do that. So we're just going to layer these up here. I'm already loving how these sunflowers look like they're reaching for the sky, trying to get that last little bit of sun rays before winter hits. And I just love the playfulness that the stems brought to these florals. I'm using a little bit of foam squares just to add a little bit more dimension and some more playfulness. I've used that word a couple times, but just adding a little bit of foam squares helps just create that depth and add a little bit more character to your cards. I did go ahead and pop up that little sunflower on the right to be the highest in the plane or in the viewing here. So that's why I was adding a little bit more here to the leaves and just to kind of also create a little bit of difference. Those are all the same stems, and adding the foam squares kind of helps your eyes think that they're different when they're actually not. So we're gonna just go ahead and clean up the edges. This is a full A2 sized panel. As I'm going to put it onto my card base, I did wish that I would have trimmed it down just a little bit, but I didn't want to jeopardize the florals, so I did leave it as is, but I kind of wish I would have had a little bit of a white border around the card panel. Once we get it adhered, you'll see. So I'm adding in this lovely Gina case set for this sweet little hello sweet friend sentiment. But I am not sure if I want it to be white on black or black on white. So I'm going to go ahead and make both. I do this a lot sometimes when I'm not sure. I worry that maybe a black cardstock might look a little bit too alarming, or this white with the black text kind of gets lost. So I tend to accumulate some sentiments when I am not sure which one I'm leaning towards, and I make both. And hopefully I picked the right one. You'll have to let me know in the comments below. But Stay tuned as we determine which one that is. This is a really cute little set and it comes with coordinating dies. And I'm really loving that little house or little home stretch. And I'm thinking I'm going to make a card with that soon. I had some really fun ideas. Maybe we could do like rainbow houses or at least, the trios do a set of light, medium, and dark blue houses. Just lots of fun ideas. So now that we have these made, I'm going to go ahead and heat set them off camera and then also die cut them. One of the tips I like to give for black cardstock and using a powder tool, it leaves behind that residue. And so I like to use a microfiber cloth for that to pick up that extra powder that's on there. So I did go ahead and decide to use the black one. I felt like the white one with the black text got a little bit lost in the stems. So we're going to go ahead and use this one. I'm adding some foam strips. These are Says Stamp foam strips. I absolutely love these. I'm so glad they added them to their foam collection because the where I was getting them before had run out and I hadn't seen any on the market for a while. So it's definitely something that I was missing in my craft room. So there we are, we got the sentiment, and now we're going to go ahead and put it on the card base. Like I mentioned, I wished I would have cut this panel down just a little bit so that I could have a little bit of a border. I like a lot of dimension, so this card could definitely be made flat, and that would probably be better for the mail system, but when I have these more thicker cards with a lot of foam squares, I just put them in a bubble mailer or I hand deliver them. So I'm using a few stamp blocks to go ahead and make sure that that panel is adhered good. And then I got some of these clear dewdrops. I think they're called sugar baubles. I love these, especially on florals, because it makes me think of dewdrops and like the florals having a little bit of dew on them in the morning. And so I really love to add them, especially to my florals. I also really love when there are 3 different sizes to any kind of pretty embellishment, jewel, pearl. It's a must in my craft room. I love having 3. 2 is okay, but 3 just really seals the deal for me. And I love having at least 3 different sizes. So that's going to be the card today. All of the supplies are linked below in the description box, so be sure to check that out. And please note that they are affiliate links. And what that means is if you click on a link and shop with me, I do receive a small commission at no additional cost to you. This is just a great way for me to make sure that my supplies are fresh and that I'm bringing you content for the future. Now that glue underneath those baubles will dry clear, and you can see that in my photos located at my blog or my Instagram. But they will not be white, and it'll look just like dewdrops in the morning. But that's the card for today. Thanks for joining me, and please take care.